Hey there, Razorback fans. I'm Sydney Lemmerhurt, and today I'm absolutely thrilled to introduce you to two exceptional athletes from the Razorback softball team. Meet Kennedy Miller and Atalyia Rijo, whose incredible talent and dedication shine both on and off the diamond. But before we dive into their stories, let's take a moment to give a shout out to our sponsor, the Everett Auto Group. They're the driving force behind Buick's See Her Greatness campaign, celebrating the achievements and empowerment of female athletes. With locations in Benton, Bryant, and Rogers, the Everett Auto Group is all about supporting women in sports, and we are so thankful to have them on board. Now, let's get down to business. As your host for today's interview and former Razorback gymnast, I understand the dedication and determination it takes to compete at the collegiate level. I'm excited to dive into the experiences and insights of Kennedy and Atalyia, two incredible athletes who embody the Razorback spirit. It's time to hear their stories and discover what makes them true champions on and off the field. So, hi guys, welcome.
Hi,
so excited to talk to you guys today. Can you start off by telling me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how you kind of got into your sport?
Hi, my name is Atalyia. I am from a small town upstate New York called Horseheads. I am a sophomore softball player, shortstop on our Razorback team.
Cool.
Hi, my name's Kennedy Miller. I'm a freshman catcher from Georgetown, Texas.
Awesome. So both of you aren't obviously from here, so why did you pick Arkansas?
Okay, so it sounds cliche, but like it really felt like home to me.
I mean, for me personally, kind of like Atalyia said, it was a, home aspect, kind of home culture. I think a lot of the coaching staff had to deal with a lot of my decision. I am going to be 7.5, 8 hours away from home, which is a lot closer than Atalyia, but the coaches just kind of felt like a second family, and I can call Coach Michael for anything or call any of the coaches for anything, and they drop it at, do it at the drop of a hat. So.
Yeah, and you need that, especially in your first year. You're like, oh my God, you think, oh, I'm invincible, like I'm away from my family, I can do whatever, but you quickly realize like you need that support system around, so it sounds like you guys have that here. Yes. Can you both share a moment in your softball career, whether it was you were 3 years old or whether it was in high school, where you realized like softball is what I want to keep doing and it's what I love and what I want to do with my life?
So I grew up around the sport, so it was just kind of what I knew, and I loved it ever since I started.
Yeah.
Both my parents grew up playing sports in high school. None of them went on to college to play or anything. My mom played volleyball and my dad played baseball, so I kind of started out doing everything, soccer, gymnastics, softball, all of it. But I think that the bond that I was able to create with my dad over baseball and softball both kind of, I was like, okay, like I like this. I want to kind of keep doing it. Yeah, I think that really has, formed our relationship a lot, is just the bond over the sport.
What do you guys want young Razorback fans to remember about you? Obviously, you're both young in your career, but in 4 years, your names will be known by the Razorback fans, and you once were those little kids that looked up to people like you. What do you want them to remember about you?
I'd want them to remember my grittiness on the field and the plays that I make and hits that I get.
I mean, for me, I want them to remember kind of the person that I am. Obviously a lot of our sport is failure, so we're going to fail. We're not going to be perfect. So for me, I'd want them to remember just, the person I am, and like, I'll go up to them after, and if they want me to sign their softball or something, just being able to have that conversation and them knowing, like, yes, we are, collegiate D1 athletes and that play in the SEC and stuff, but like, we're also real humans, and we have a personality, and I want them to just kind of know me for the person that I am, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I love that you said a lot of our sport is failure. I feel like a lot of people tend to forget that, especially in softball, where it's either you're striking out or you get on base. Like, there's one or the other. Yes. And I was in a sport where like perfection was literally like only acceptable, so but you fail more than you are perfect. Yes. So that is a good little reminder to keep in the back of your head.
For sure.
So female sports, huge right now. College women's basketball, Caitlin Clark, all of that stuff. But even in softball, you guys are starting to see more and more people talk about your sport, whether it's the College World Series or just coming to the games. But now social media gets added into that, which is so fun for you guys. How do you think social media can be used to really empower your sport and bring some positivity to it?
I mean, I would kind of say I want social media to be used as like a way of, like you said, getting it out there a little more, like how Caitlin Clark, I mean, everybody kind of now knows. I don't know if like you've seen all the numbers and stuff, like the millions and millions of people that have watched it, but like I just feel like social media can kind of get the word out, if that makes sense. And especially nowadays, everybody's on their phones. A lot of people have social media. So, getting that word out and getting like, okay, like maybe I can just go and watch it on TV, or, go and see the highlights on Instagram or Twitter or something. So,
yeah, totally agree. What advice would you have for a female athlete that might be kind of discouraged by, the lack of visibility of women's sports?
I'd say just know your why for playing. Like, you play for yourself, your supporters, whoever that is. Like, just know from within. Like, that's where it comes from. It doesn't have to be from the supporters on the outside of the fences.
That must be a softball thing y'all are taught, because that was like word for word what one of your teammates said. But I love it. Like, knowing your why is so important as a female athlete.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say just kind of, always giving 100%. I know nowadays, like you said, softball is kind of getting big and a lot of people are watching still, but play as if, somebody is watching all the time. Maybe they might not be or they will be, but I just feel like playing as if somebody is watching, even though you might be in the cages absolutely by yourself. Like, you never know. So I just feel like, playing like somebody is always watching is kind of setting the standard and keeping that level.
Fun question time. So share a moment in your career where you just felt like a profound sense of accomplishment, where you're like, I'm going to remember this for, the rest of my career.
Mine was when my high school ball team went to states, and we were the state champs that year, and I was lead off, and my coach, he kept saying, like, you're going to hit a home run, lead off. And next thing you know, it does happen, and then later in the game, I was robbed of another home run. But it was just one of those feelings where it was like, I knew we were going to win, even though it was like a high pressure situation, we could call it. But yeah,
that's like a storybook thing in high school too, especially.
For me, I'm kind of the same way. I went to the state championship twice out of the 4 times, and then we were really close on the third. But I'd say like the one thing that stood out to me was we always go to this tournament in California. It's called PGF. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. But I was able to play in like the All-Star game that was like
awesome.
broadcasted on ESPN. Actually literally this past July, so like it's kind of fresh on my mind. But that was really my first time ever playing on ESPN, and so it was like, this is a kind of a glimpse of what my life will be like in less than 3 months at that time. So I think just being able to kind of see and play against play with all of these girls that I'm about to play against, all going to Power 5s across the country, and it was just like, whoa, like this is a full circle moment. Like, I'm about to go and play against all these girls. And
so do either one of you have a specific like ritual or strategy or superstition that you guys do before your games?
I personally don't.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like it kind of changes. I feel like the start of the season, I started out really hot, and one time in Arizona, in one of our first tournaments, I ate like Cinnamon Toast Crunch and had one of those like mini peach Alanis, and so like every single game now, like I have to have one of those mini ones. If I can't find the mini peach, then I have to have like the real
the real one.
But other than that, I mean, I don't have something that I've carried on since I was 6 or something. So
that's a superstition there. It's been pretty 50-50 from softball. Either it's like I don't believe in it, or it's like a laundry list of superstitions. But do you guys have anything, maybe since you don't really have any sort of superstition, but any sort of ritual that you might repeat to yourself or say to yourself if you're in those high pressure situations, or maybe you just struck out and you're at bat again? Is there anything you kind of say to yourself then?
I work on my visualization, seeing success, and then actually achieving success after that, and breathing.
That's good. I guess softball's a visual sport.
Very
that would make sense.
I mean, for me personally, I kind of have 2. I'd say, I'm a big believer of like looking at a spot and just kind of like finding that spot and just getting away from the situation a little bit. And like, this is just a game. We've been playing it for however many 10 plus years now. And so sometimes you'll see like on the eastern part of my bat, I either look at like the corner of the tee, or like sometimes I'll look up at the Razorback, like the nose out in the outfield or something. But I mean, a lot of the times if we're at home, obviously we have our walk-up songs and stuff. It's like you'll catch me literally if the camera's on me, like I'll be singing it, and like you can see my lips moving. But like I said, it's just kind of that
keeps you in the moment.
And kind of get me away if needed to like, okay, take a deep breath. Like you've been doing this, like I said, for however many years. So.
Who was your first female athlete that you remember looking up to, whether it was softball or another sport? Kind of talk about her and why.
Mine was actually a group of 4 called the Package Deal of Amanda Scarborough, Morgan Stewart, Katie, and Jen Schroeder. I went to one of their little camps that they had, and it was like the biggest like moment of my softball career as a child. And just like all the information and like how knowledgeable they are of the game.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a different answer. I like it that it's multiple people.
Yeah. Kind of funny story. I mean, a lot of people kind of have probably heard, but I've always looked up to Taylor Ellsworth. So she's from Georgetown, Texas, which is literally my hometown.
Yeah.
I've known her since I was like 8 years old. And so just kind of following her and, you know, seeing her throughout high school. I would go and watch her high school games. And then she went to the University of Texas. And she came up here. And so, you know, just kind of following her. I don't want to say following in her footsteps, but in a sense, she's kind of the one that, you know, introduced me to the University of Arkansas.
That's awesome.
I mean, it was
Big Tex.
Yeah.
I loved Taylor. Yeah, she was one of my first athletes I got to work with NIL, so that's really awesome. That's such a fun, like, full circle moment. Makes me feel a little bit older, but that's a fun full circle moment. Last question. And you've both kind of mentioned it maybe a little bit, but how would you address any haters that your sport might have or that you might have, if you address them at all? And how would you advocate for greater recognition for your sport?
I'd bring it back to knowing your why and your love and passion for the game, because that's really important. If you don't want to play the game, then why do you do it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's kind of funny you say this because me and one of my teammates made a TikTok this weekend and it's already blown up to like 100,000+ likes, and I was not expecting it at all, but I've kind of gotten a couple hate comments or whatever because there was like a beauty filter on and it like glitched my face and everything. So, you know, I personally just like haven't really looked at them. Like, I don't know, you know, you hear some people say like they delete social media, but if at all possible, I just feel like, you know, removing yourself from that. I'm like, you did it. Like, it was fun in the moment, and maybe it's, you know, you might not think it was fun anymore because of like what you're getting from it. But personally, I would just say kind of remove yourself and just remember, like, you're the person you are. Like, there's a reason that you're here. There's a reason that you're here at, you know, an SEC school and at the university. So, I don't know. I just feel like kind of, for me, I would get away if that makes sense.
Yeah, and a lot of those people are just, you know, projecting onto you what they're frustrated in their own life. So you can't control any of that stuff. Right, exactly. Well, awesome. Well, thank y'all. That is a wrap for today's episode. I want to extend a massive thank you to our phenomenal female athletes who joined us today. Your stories are the heart and soul of our podcast, and your greatness shine through in every word. I also want to express my gratitude to the Everett Auto Group for continuing to promote the See Her Greatness campaign. With locations in Benton, Bryant, and Rogers, they're not just in the business of selling cars, they're champions of celebrating female excellence in sports. To my listeners, I can't thank you enough for tuning in and being a part of this empowering journey. Remember, you can catch up on all of our episodes and stay connected with the latest from Everett's See Her Greatness campaign by following us on social media. Until next time, keep believing in your greatness, keep striving for your dreams, and keep celebrating the incredible achievements of women in sports. This is Sydney Lemmerhurt, signing off.